Hi, this is Dr. Ben Weitz with the Rational Wellness Podcast. I'm here today to bring you the latest rational scientific information about health, wellness, and everything else that I find interesting. The topic for today is an important B vitamin, vitamin B9. How many of you know what vitamin B9 is? Well, vitamin B9 is folic acid. So, what do we need to know about folic acid? Well, it turns out that folic acid is an absolutely essential vitamin, and our bodies cannot produce it, so we must ingest it. Folic acid is important for repair and synthesis and methylation of DNA. It's important for nervous system development. It's important for red blood cell production. It's an absolutely essential nutrient. And folic acid is found in certain foods naturally, like spinach, green leafy vegetables, certain whole grains, other natural products. But folic acid is also fortified in the U.S. diet. What do I mean by that? Well, folic acid, synthetic folic acid, is added to many processed foods, breads, cereals, and other processed foods. Is this a good idea? Well, without folic acid, infants may be born with neural tube defects. What's a neural tube defect? It could mean spina bifida, meaning a hole in the spine. It could be serious, it could be not so serious. You can be born without a brain, anencephaly. That's one of the neural tube defects. That obviously is not consistent with life. So getting folic acid in the diet is absolutely essential. So this is why folic acid has been added to many of our processed foods. The problem with folic acid being added to the foods is that they're adding synthetic folic acid. But isn't this okay? Well, with respect to neural tube defects, it appears as though the synthetic folic acid works well enough to prevent those. So that's a good thing. On the other hand, synthetic folic acid is not necessarily processed by the body. And we've known this for a while, and this may explain why there were a few studies that seem to show folic acid reduced cancer risk, and there are other studies that seem to show that there may be a slightly increased cancer risk with folic acid supplementation. The problem is unmetabolized folic acid. In other words, folic acid that your body cannot use. When you consume too much synthetic folic acid, we have a new paper that just recently came out in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Folic Acid Handling by the Human Gut, Implications for Food Fortification and Supplementation. And what they did was they looked at humans and they looked at folic acid in their portal blood circulation. That is blood that has come out of the liver. The liver is where the body needs to process folic acid into the active form. The active form is often referred to as methylfolate. And unfortunately, most of us are not very efficient at processing folic acid. So what they found in this study was that there was quite a lot of unmetabolized, unprocessed folic acid in portal circulation. Therefore, if we consume too much synthetic folic acid, there's a high likelihood that that folic acid is going to build up in our bloodstream. So what should we do? Well, look, it's always better to consume nutrients, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients in the form that's found in nature. And the form that's found in nature is not synthetic folic acid, it's the methyl form. There's several different variations on that. So the answer on what we should do is the following. Number one, try to get as much of your folic acid from food, eating green leafy vegetables, whole grains, and an array of other natural healthy foods. Number two, your supplements should contain folic acid in the reduced or methyl form, either a form known as nature folate or the 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. And good supplements manufacturers these days are aware of this and have changed over. Take a look at your supplements. Make sure that your supplements contain folate in either the nature folate form or the 5-methyl form. And I would recommend avoiding any supplements that include straight synthetic folic acid. And that's it for our initial podcast of the Rational Wellness Podcast. To sum up what we talked about in this initial podcast, number one, folic acid is an essential nutrient that we all need in our diet, either through food or supplementation or both. Number two, much of the food in the United States is supplemented or fortified with synthetic folic acid. Number three, synthetic folic acid may be a problem because our livers are not very efficient at converting it into the active form. And when unmetabolized, unprocessed folic acid builds up in the bloodstream, this could be a problem and may not be consistent with optimal health. So avoid synthetic folic acid, consume folic acid in the natural form or the methyl form. This has been Dr. Ben Weitz with the Rational Wellness Podcast. Have a rational day. Go to our website, rationalwellness.org, for additional information, and we'll see you in the second episode. Thank you.